and I want to welcome you to You Better. This is my very first show I'm doing here at Queens Public Television with this series. The idea behind the show is based on one of my favorite quotes by Maya Angelou, which goes something like this: "You did then what you knew how to do. When you knew better, you did better." So here we are at You Better. So I'm so pleased to have as my very first guest the great Jane Harris. And Jane is, she and I have been friends for a long time, and Jane has training and coaching certification from New York University, as well as group coach training from Columbia University. But apart from that, Jane, what really qualifies you to be a relationship coach?
I just want to feed off on what you said. When you know better, you do better.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened to me. You know, I basically actually specialize in older women. And the reason I did that is because I've walked that talk. Yeah. And when I was 50 years old, I was alone. I thought no man's ever going to want me anymore. I'm too old, I'm wrinkled, I'm ugly, whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was getting coached by somebody, and I suddenly got this insight that I'd kind of stopped being open to men. Mm-hmm. And I was, you know, I even had my skirts taken down below my knee because I didn't think it was appropriate at my age to flirt or to be, you know.
You had your skirts, the hem taken out of your skirt and lowered because you didn't think you were worthy?
Right, probably, but not worthy. That's right, exactly.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
At 50, I thought I'm not worthy anymore to be showing my legs off. I know.
Okay. Okay.
I know.
Keep
Pretty
going.
depressing,
Keep going.
right?
Tell me this story. Keep going.
And so I had this insight, and in that moment, I saw myself as a hot babe versus an old maid.
Say that again. Say that again.
I went from old maid to hot babe.
Old maid to hot babe.
Yes, yes. I mean, there's no evidence that I'm really a hot babe, but no, you can say whatever you like, Julia, but not really.
Okay.
And it just totally opened up my world. You know, when you know better, you do better. So when I started being a hot babe, where that came from, I have no idea. I started being open to men. I started flirting more. I started having fun with them. I started being playful. Yeah. And it was incredible. It was like a miracle.
And what happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of months later, I met my husband.
Ah.
Ah.
You met oh, wow. And Richard.
It's as easy as that. Yes.
Richard.
You know Richard.
And I know Richard. Richard is a wonderful man. Richard, hi. Thank you for letting me borrow your wife for the afternoon. She's fantastic.
Oh.
So you met him, and what was that like when you met him? Was it love at first sight, or was it not?
Well, actually, it's a great question, because he was looking for a younger woman. Ironically enough, he was looking for a younger woman because he wanted to have a child. Mm. And but because he enjoyed being with me so much, and we had a lot of fun together. Yeah. And I was just really a fun person to have around. He just loved it and gave up having a child to be with me.
Very good. So how long did it take from the time you met until the time you got married?
We were together about 3 years.
3 years?
Actually longer. No, we met in 2000, beg your pardon, and we got married in 2005.
In 2005?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So my next question is why is it that people, men, women, are having so much trouble getting in and maintaining relationships? What's that about? Why is it so hard?
Why is it so hard, exactly? Well, you know what? It's interesting. I think it's always been hard. I think it's people are more open about it being hard. Or maybe people feel that they can just get divorced now. You know, just like a drop of a hat. There's plenty of people out there. There's hundreds of people online. I think we're spoiled for choice. I think that we've got a lot of brainwashing from movies, books, the culture, you know.
Yeah.
I think we're overly fussy and
people
expectations.
Don't want to be vulnerable.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Can you speak about that a little bit, about how people don't
yes,
want to be
well,
vulnerable?
I'm glad you brought that up, because vulnerability is probably the key to connecting with somebody, is to be vulnerable. And when I became, you know, hot babe, I think automatically, without realizing at the time, I became open. I became open rather than this closed person, this closed old maid, as I call it. And it was, and that's probably one of the hardest things to do, especially as I'm coaching older women, because they have such a history of being hurt, fear, you know. And, you know, they say they want to be in a relationship, but a lot of times they're not willing to do what it takes. Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. People think, and this is what drives me crazy about the culture, is you see in magazines, I hate magazines that want to give you relationship tips. Sorry, but no. Yes. Why? Because it's not about tips. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just spit all over my first guest. It's not about tips. It's about, the way I see it, is creating that space in your life where somebody can walk in. Yes. How many women, men, people do I know who want relationships, but who haven't done the work to clean up their space in their life to have somebody walk in? You deal with that much?
Well, yes, that's a very, very good point, because but see, the thing is, I don't think, because a lot of people think they have to wait to clean up.
Oh, that's true.
And to get complete and whatever. And I think that's a lifelong journey.
Yes.
So I think the secret really is, if there is a secret, that it's really being aware of what your blind spots are, of where you get triggered, of what your fears are, of what that, and then you make a moment-by-moment choice. I always think that's really the key, because you're going to bump up against it all the time in a relationship.
Yes, and you know, I hear from friends, and I should mention I've been in a relationship for 12 years. I've been married for almost 2 years. That people get into another relationship without finishing the last one. Yeah, I see that all the time, and they wonder, why do I keep dating this same person?
Right, exactly, right.
Because you didn't finish with the last one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're coaching people, what is the hardest part about having them get what they want?
I would say, well, there's many reasons, but I would say the main reason is coming back to the vulnerability again. I think it's getting past the fear, and a lot of them don't even know they're fearful. You know, they say, like I said before, they want a relationship, but they don't. They're not willing to do what it takes to actually expose themselves, to be vulnerable, to go out there and date different people, or go to social events and stuff like that.
So it's resistance.
Yes.
People want something, and they're not willing to do the work. Get out there on the court.
Or to take the risk. You know, the one thing is, I think what I noticed too for myself is that life is risky. And I think we try to take the risk out of it. And I think we want to be comfortable.
Life's messy.
Life is messy. And it's not comfortable. And I think we all the time want to go to our comfort zone all the time. I know I do.
Of course.
And I think it's getting out of that comfort zone.
Can you give me some examples of people that you've worked with? That you don't name any names, but like give me an example of somebody and like where they came in, what they started out, and what was the end result. Okay.
So very simply, I talk to women too about masculine and femininity.
Yeah.
Masculinity and femininity. There's, many women these days are they're very independent. So that's masculine energy, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But they go on a date with that masculine energy. They don't drop into their feminine energy. That's what I coach women on. And it makes a huge difference, because men don't want to be out with a masculine type woman. You know, they don't. Otherwise they'd go out with a guy, wouldn't they?
Yes.
So one client I had, she owns her own business, very successful, and just as cute as a button, but could just not get a second date with a guy. And I talked to her about this male-female energy, and I said, well, do you go straight from the office out on a date? Yes. Well, I don't have time to go home, or I'll never change. So I talked about the feminine energy, dropping into your feminine energy, and we did a little coaching on that. And so she had a blind date the next night, and she went home, put on a dress, did whatever she did, put on music or whatever to get into her femininity.
Yeah.
And she's now married with a baby.
No way.
Just like that.
How long did it take?
I probably had like 2 or 3 coaching. I mean, no time at all.
There you
She
go.
just took the coaching. She just saw she just distinguished for herself that she wasn't going out with her feminine side of herself.
Yeah. And
and that connected with the guy.
Yeah. And when you coach people, what is that like? Is it usually one-on-one or is it groups?
Well, I do both.
Yes.
I love doing groups, though, because I find with groups, especially with women, they love community. They enjoy community, and I think that support of being with women with similar minds that want to have what they all want, they all support each other. I love doing groups.
So the thing with group, you know, one of the things I would think would be useful with groups is other people see things that you don't see.
Yes, yes. You mean the other women?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And it seems like what's right under your nose, like that thing that you do that you don't know that you do.
Yes, and when you've got those other heads in the room too, and how the other women support each other. You know, and I do this love shop with Linda Turner, who we
you
both
also
know,
do it with our,
who's an art therapist.
Great person.
Great person.
Yeah.
And we've developed this thing called the Love Shop, where we support women through different processes, which we've developed. That's been very successful, actually.
You know, you and I talked before about art therapy and how that and how that's been very useful. Is that something? Can you tell me a little about that? Can you just share with us about that?
Well, the thing, and I've done art therapy myself, and that's why I love it. It's just brilliant. Art therapy, what happens is most of us tend to be very left brain directed. Art therapy brings you to your right side of your brain. And there's a lot of secrets in the right side of your brain.
Yes.
So we use images and art and drawing, and women get to see things through images that they weren't able to do with their logical left side.
Yes.
And it's really a huge eye-opener.
Yes.
Like, we put out images for them, and like they'll pick, you know, who we've been being with men, we'll say,
Yes.
and women will pick images like Swiss Army knife. Or lone skater, or you know, that kind of stuff.
Do you like have magazines and have them cut stuff out, or is it all drawing? Or
Linda, because she's been doing this for so many years, she has the most amazing images. No, we don't use regular magazine images.
You let
they're
them
much
draw.
more profound. No, we actually have cutouts from.
Oh, you have cutouts.
From books and stuff, yeah, but not necessarily just regular images.
That's wonderful. You know, here's another topic which matters to me.
Oh.
Is it harder, given today that we have so much in terms of dating websites and social media and texting and what have you? Is it harder or easier today, you think?
That's a very interesting question, because in some ways I think it's easier, but in some ways I think it's harder.
Yes.
I mean, it's easier because you can sit online and view hundreds and hundreds of profiles and hundreds of people. But I think it's harder because I think we're spoiled with so much choice.
True.
And I think people get very picky.
They get too picky.
They get too picky. Yeah, I don't want to say too picky, but too picky. And I think we have these incredible expectations. And
we write people off and we don't like what shirts they're wearing.
Yes, exactly. And exactly. And I've come up with an acronym called ME, M-E, and it's what people go on a date with is me, myself. They don't even think about that person, but they come with, well, you need to be a mind reader, and I have all these expectations.
Can you speak a little about that?
Which part?
About being, about how women tend to want to be mind readers.
Mind readers. Well, because they expect the man to know.
Yes.
And I learned something from Alison Armstrong. I don't know if you've heard of her. She does I've done wonderful work with her, celebrating men, satisfying women. And she talks about how women think men are misbehaving hairy women. I can identify with that.
Men are
misbehaving hairy women.
I know a few.
What were you looking at?
I'm just... Anyway. Anyway.
And they and because I know for myself, I thought men were a hairy version of me. But they're not. They're very, very different to us. They're very different to us.
Yeah.
And how can we expect them to mind read what we want as women?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that tends to get in the way, and I coach a lot of women. You know, I say to women, what did you ask for that? Did you say what you want? Did you say what? No, I didn't. They don't. A lot of times they don't ask for what they want and what they need, and then they get angry at the guy.
Exactly.
Because they didn't get what they wanted.
It's a matter of, well, didn't you know that I wanted da-da-da? Did you tell me?
Yes.
No.
No.
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, I want to go back a bit. We were talking about online dating, and for myself, I want to share that my wife and I met online 12 years ago. Back in the days, way before there was social media. And, you know, the funny thing is, she didn't even have a profile. She didn't even have a picture. Wow. She had registered and didn't even have anything. So she found me online. And it was at a time when I had just gotten out of a long-distance relationship. It was about 5-6 weeks after September 11th. And it was one of those things where at the time, you know, I think back to then, this was like, what year was that? 2001, fall of 2001. And there was a lot of choice then. And apparently I was the only one she wrote to. Wow. It was the only one she wrote to. And what she liked about me was my picture, and that I said I wanted to be a better person. That was what I was working on, was being a better person. And so I get why it's a challenge for online dating, but at the same time, it can really work out. I mean, for me, one of the great experiences that I had was we were married in November of 2011. It was our 10-year anniversary. We got married. And I'm so grateful for that experience. But I think when I met her, I look back and, well, who was I? You know, what was I dealing with? And I think I was just ready for that person. I didn't want that. I said, oh no, the last thing I want is a relationship. Wow. And God said, and so there you had it. So, what else do people need to know? I mean, in terms of, what are some other things we can tell people in terms of how to get into a relationship that they really want? What's something we've missed?
We've missed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ooh. Well, it depends on the individual too. I'm not very one for, you know, it has to be this many rules or this is a certain way, but I would say to really look at, when I look at what I did, is how open are you being? Yeah. You know, just walking, you know, do you smile at men when you walk down the street? I mean, women kind of think, you know, can't do that. Yeah. You know, I may get a hold of a crazy or something.
What do you think about speed dating?
Speed dating, I think, is great, actually. I think that's a really great idea. Yes, but there's hardly any for older singles. I've been looking for some for my older, you know, clients.
Yes.
It's very hard.
It's a challenge. I can imagine. What's that about?
Speed dating?
No. Why is it a challenge?
What it doesn't seem to be that they can't get the men. They get plenty of women, but not enough men to show up, apparently.
Is that because...
So men, call me, contact me. Yes. I'll start my own speed dating.
Very good, very good.
Yeah. Just about online, I just want to say, though, if Richard or I had seen each other's profile on online, we would never have got together.
Yes, speak about that.
Never.
Because we've got time.
Okay. Well, you know, he's shorter than I'd like someone. You know, he's intellectual. I would never have got his sense of, because he's so funny. I would never have got his humor by reading his profile. I mean, someone can say I'm funny, but how many people just do that? And with me, he would have looked at my age and go, oh, no, no good.
What did you all do on your first date?
What do we do?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to know. Oh, well, he took me to dinner.
What kind of
Can
dinner?
I talk about this?
Please. It's up to you. Whatever you want to share.
All right. We went out to dinner. And it wasn't actually a date. He was thanking me for something I did for him.
Okay.
It was not a date. He didn't know, he wasn't really interested in me that way. But I went to dinner with no underwear on.
Okay.
And I've never done that before in my whole life. I
Okay.
know. I mean, I suppose it's my hot babe coming out.
Okay,
I don't
there
know,
you go.
something.
I just want my wife to know I've never been on I've always wear underwear on.
But I would
Every
recommend
time
that.
I've gone out,
I would recommend that because women are always caught up about, oh, you never sleep with men. We slept together on our first date in the back of my car. It was not a pretty sight because we're two 50-year-olds. I mean, it was not pretty.
Hey, but it
was not pretty.
But it worked for you all right.
Oh yes, I mean it was really. And I drove him back over the Brooklyn Bridge at like 6 o'clock in the morning as the sun was rising.
Oh my gosh, that sounds romantic.
It was very romantic.
Very romantic. And so what did you all do on your second date?
Well, we thought we'd go to a hotel.
Oh, very good.
Yes, we
Very
went to a
good.
hotel in New Jersey, so we had a lot of fun.
So how did your families deal with, did you get married here or in England?
Here. Yes, yes.
Did your, so we haven't even talked about where you're from. You're from England.
Yes,
Where are
yes.
you from in England?
I was born in Hampshire.
You're born in
Winchester.
Hampshire.
Yeah, Hampshire,
Okay.
yes.
So you've been here since 1977, right?
1977, correct, yes.
77.
Yes.
So do you have family? Did you have family that came over for the wedding, or?
Well, both my parents are gone and whatever, but Richard came up with a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
this
what'd
is
you
why
do?
I married him. He got a web feed. We got this whole web feed set up at my friend's house where we got married out in the garden, and it was web fed all over the world. So whoever
No
we
way.
sent out invitations for people who can show up in their pajamas, and they just were logged in and saw the whole wedding on the computer.
That is so sweet.
Isn't that? I mean,
That is incredibly sweet. That is a 21st century love story. How long
Yes.
ago did you all get married? What year did you all get married?
2005.
That is a 21st century love story.
Yes.
I mean, that would not have been possible
And
before.
he said, I'm so sick of weddings all looking the same. People spend all this money and
Yes.
whatever. So he said, let's have a monkey and an organ grinder at our wedding. I
A
went,
monkey and
okay,
an organ grinder.
I went, oh. And
so you did?
I did. And he knew then he was marrying the right woman. Because I was okay with that. I was good. I was
that's
good with
funny. That's funny. Well, when we got married, my wife's family is Jewish, and my family is all stripes of Christian, as we say. Catholic.
Yes.
We've got everything from Catholic to Pentecostal. So we decided we were going to have sort of a non-denominational wedding, but we got married in Manhattan at this great place called the Liederkranz Foundation, and I was the one who was like, I want us to do Jewish things in this wedding. And my Jamie's family is like, okay, what do you want? Well, I want a chuppah. I want a chuppah.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm going to learn how to make a chuppah. So I made the chuppah. I had the poles and the fabric, and I went the whole 9 yards. Oh, absolutely. It was really important to me. And then the fellow who married us was our great friend George Rylander.
Oh, yes. I didn't know he could perform.
Yes, because his mother is Jewish and his father is Christian. So he was the perfect person to merge those two sides, because he understood both worlds. And so it was just so great to have that. And then we had the chuppah. And then we had all these different people from our family come up and hold the poles. And some of my family said, we'll hold the hoopla. We'll hold the hoopla, because we're from Kentucky.
Oh, I love
Southerners.
that. Oh, I had no idea.
So I had different relatives holding the chuppah, and then we had the blessing of the bread after we had it. In Jamie's stepfather gave the blessing in Hebrew. And Baruch atah Adonai. Well, I'm not familiar with it. And then my father, who's Catholic, said, well, I don't know what he said, but here's what I'm going to say. And then afterwards, they were like, you said the same thing in English that he just said in Hebrew. Yeah. And when it comes to relationships, one of the things I'm most grateful for that when we talk about relationships that work, and first of all, I'm so grateful to my own wife. First of all, for her help today, it's just been amazing. But one of the things I'm most grateful for was that vulnerability. We were never going to have a wedding ceremony per se, because we had so many reasons why we were never going to do it. We talked about it for a long time, but finally I said, you know what, we got to do this. We're going to throw our hat over the fence, so to speak, and we're just going to create this. We're just going to create this wedding. And one of the things that happened was, and we were like, how are we going to pay for this wedding? I don't know. And then the day, it was funny, it was the day that we had Hurricane Irene. You know, the previous Hurricane Irene. And not much was happening that day. I was sitting on the couch. It was like August. It was about this time a couple of years ago. And I was sitting on the couch. I said, I'm going to take a nap. And so Jamie said, oh, I'm going to go look through our old mail. So she goes to look through the old mail, and she says, she wakes me up and she goes, honey, do you know you have a check here for a couple $1,000?
Get out! No.
It was from a class action lawsuit that I was a part of from a previous employer. I'd totally forgotten about. So I was able to do so much with that, with this check. I think it was like I don't know, remember, it's like $3,000 check from a bad previous employer. So I was able to pay for some airfare for different family members. I really wanted to be there.
My golly.
And that was a result. But you see, if we hadn't said, you know what, we're going to do this, we're going to create this. We don't know how. We don't know what it's going to look like. But
you were open.
We were open and vulnerable.
Exactly.
So for us, it was not about the relation. I mean, yeah, our relationship's always been fantastic. It was about saying, okay, we're going to do this.
And taking a risk.
And taking the risk.
It's about taking a risk, yes.
So Jane, I want to thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
Now, if people want to reach you, how do they reach you?
Oh, at jane@relationshipsbychoice.com, and that's also my website. Relationshipsbychoice.com is also my website,
okay.
Yes.
And for me, if you'd like to reach me, email me. You can reach me at Julia Maddox at outlook.com. I also love Twitter, so tweet me, Julia Maddox NYC. And so we've had such a great time.
Oh,
I want to thank you so much for being my first guest.
It's just been wonderful. I'm just so thrilled to be here with you. Really.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
This has been You Better, and come back and see us again soon.